After visiting historical Kashan and traditional village Abyaneh, we're approaching to Isfahan, the former capital of Persia. The introduction to the city, I would like to start with one of the highlights, Naqsh-e Jahan Square, translated from Persian as Image of the World Square. Constructed in 16th century, it's surrounded by buildings from Safavid era. At the northern side, Qeysarieh Gate opens to Isfahan Grand Bazaar. On the western side is Ali Qapu Palace. The Sheikh Mosque is situated on the southern side, and Sheikh Lotfollah Mosque is situated on the eastern side of the square. Guests can take a horse-drawn carriage or electric car for the driving tour around the square. It is 160 meters wide by 560 meters long, with an area of 90,000 square meters. It is one of the largest city squares in the world and the UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's also known as Sheikh Square or Imam Square. The rectangular square is covering a garden and several fountains in the middle, where Iranian people like to make a wish. During Safavid era, the square was a center of commerce, where merchants traded their goods by renting the stores from the government. We take a closer look at the sides of the square, and the first one is Sheikh Mosque. It was built during the Safavid dynasty under the rule of Shah Abbas I of Persia. It's regarded as one of the masterpieces of Persian architecture in the Islamic era. Its construction began in 1611, and its splendor is mainly due to the beauty of its 7-color mosaic tiles and calligraphic inscriptions. Although the portal was built to face the square, the mosque is oriented towards Mecca, so a short angle corridor was constructed to connect the square and the inner courtyard. In 1598, when Shah Abbas decided to move the capital of his empire from the northern city of Qazvin to the central city of Isfahan, he initiated what would become one of the greatest programs in Persian history, the complete remaking of the city. By choosing the central city of Isfahan, he distanced his capital from any future assaults by the Ottomans and Uzbeks, and at the same time gained more control over the Persian Gulf, which had recently become an important trading route for the Dutch and British East India companies. There was an incident about the land possession of the mosque that is worth mentioning. It's about an old woman who didn't want to sell her property. Despite the fact that Curtis was ready to pay the fee much more than its real value, she refused. When the king heard about it, he gave the order to stop the project until she announced her readiness to sell her house. Are you hungry and tired? Just next to the Sheikh Mosque, there is a beautiful traditional restaurant Bastani with an exclusive interior decor, offering a broad menu of the authentic Iranian dishes. Ali Qapu Palace is an imperial palace in Isfahan. The palace served as the official residence of Persian emperors of the Safavid dynasty. The palace is 48 meters high, and there are 6 floors, each accessible by a difficult spiral staircase. The name Ali Qapu from Persian means imperial or great gate, and it was given to the palace as it was right at the entrance to the Safavid palaces, which stretched from Naqsh-e Jahan Square to the boulevard. UNESCO inscribed the palace and the square as a World Heritage Site due to its cultural and historical importance. In the sixth floor music hall, deep circular niches are found in the walls, having not only aesthetic value but also acoustic. The building was built by decree of Shah Abbas I, and it was here that the great monarch used to entertain noble visitors and foreign ambassadors. 360 degrees panoramic view is opening from the balcony of Ali Qapu Palace on Naqsh-e Jahan Square. Isfahan Grand Bazaar was built during the 11th century, then destroyed and restored several times until Safavid era, when it was rebuilt as one of the ambitious expansion plans of Shah Abbas during the 17th century, and it was used as one of the greatest and luxurious trading centers in the Safavid era. The Grand Bazaar lies around Naqsh-e Jahan Square and has almost 5 kilometers of shopping streets with many arches and corridors. In several spots, the corridors display crossroads, boasting high wood-decorated brick domes on the top. The caravansarais and their small versions called timche were independent structures with inner courtyards, where caravans with loaded camels and donkeys could stop, unload and rest. You can enjoy the live gallery of gleaming handicrafts, the music of the hammers and copper plates, and also the Safavid and Qeysarieh era constructions. Another masterpiece of Iranian architecture, Sheikh Lotfollah Mosque. Of the four monuments that dominated the perimeter of Naqsh-e Jahan Square, this one was the first to be built. The purpose of this mosque was to be private to the royal court, unlike the Shah Mosque, which was meant for the public. For this reason, the mosque doesn't have any minarets and it's smaller. It was not until centuries later, when the doors were opened to the public, that ordinary people could admire the effort that Shah Abbas had put into making this sacred place for the ladies of his harem, and the exquisite tilework, which is far superior to that covering the Shah Mosque. To avoid having to walk across the square to the mosque, Shah Abbas had the architect build a tunnel spanning the piazza from the Ali Qapu Palace to the mosque.
سختیه ولی پاشو به همه دنیا بخند رو سری تو باز محکم ببند در کمین توفان باید با اراده باشی تو میدون آماده باشی دلخوشی خونواده باشی افتخار ایران دستاتون آهنگ کنید
If you enjoyed watching this video, I encourage you to subscribe, click like and hit notification bell button to get updated of the new releases.